now we have received the vibrations from you. Now, how Dr. A, we'll have to see how Dr. AVS is going to treat us with the vibration. Dr. AVS, as Dr. Ramamurthy said, we have made the second video also so that the audience can understand much better how the Vedas are being recited. The people who are reciting, they have to undergo training for more than 10 years or 12 years, like our postgraduate students, with so precision fine, with not only learning and with their personal life also, they have to adhere to various norms in the Gurukula. This is our traditional methods. It is coming through thousands of years. That is the beauty of our Indian culture and Indian tradition. Now over to Dr. AVS. We are eager to listen to you, how we are going to use this vibration to our advantage.
Yeah. Sairam. First of all, we have listened to the excellence explicitly expressed in Vedas and Vibration. I think I must be very thankful to Prime Point Srinivasan for giving me this opportunity and his team, because he has very clearly stated that vibration is felt and it is not to be seen. Where do we stand in science? Now it's very clear that we all know it stems from the awareness. I'm aware of my vibrations. When you are aware of my vibrations, is there a scientific data to give it? That's where we lack it. Because it's very, very, Schrödinger always said, becoming is conscious, but being is unconscious. In other words, when you start getting into the physiology of the brain of any standards, I have to come from the top below or bottoms up. I want to go from the top up. The topmost portion in the human brain is awareness. Awareness is coming beyond science. It's beyond thought. Because when we look at the awareness at the present point of juncture, we do not know what is awareness scientifically documented. This awareness leads to intellect. Intellect is also a part of it. It's not beyond science. It's not beyond science. It's beyond science. From the intellect, we get into the mind. Mind, we are just conquering it because mind is a web of thoughts. So when you apply the thought mechanisms, thought has got two components. One is, of course, we have already discussed this point, but I want to repeat it once again here for reinforcing our idea. The two component is the temporal sequence of thought and as well as spatial. The present day science touches only the spatial sequence. It cannot touch the temporal sequence of thought because we cannot identify where does it come from. It could come from our brain or it could come from outside. Now, the concept of this thought is also a movement. Thought is also a vibration. This vibration and movement giving rise inside the brain leads to the function of the mind, which acts on the brain, brain acts on the body, body on the environment. Now, when you look at all the five special senses, it is the projection of our awareness. With an example, I'll just tell you, if you want to really look into the science of the vision. Vision is an input by which we have an eye. In the eye, we have a lens. As per the science, if there is an object in front of the lens, then the image should form behind the lens. That means we should only see behind, but we all see in front. What is the reason? It is only because your image is definitely formed in the occipital lobe inverted, and our consciousness projects the image in space. In other words, my consciousness merges into yours, and then the light is the component. Without light, we cannot see. So the light. At the present point of time, our vision is very, very limited. We are really going to see only a particular frequency of vibrations of the objects. There are three solid states of vibration. And The most important thing from all these functions, when we understood what is consciousness, I think somebody said consciousness is the trick of the memory and self-awareness is an illusion of language. But you must remember, the most important point in consciousness is the vibration of, or the resonance is a main mechanism of consciousness. It's a vibration and the frequency. It's believed that the thalamus, which is the center in the base of the skull, base of the brain, connects to the cortex. This thalamocortical projection has got a particular frequency that decides our consciousness and awareness. This consciousness is a brain. I'm not talking about the original universal consciousness. All things in the world are constantly in motion. In other words, the entire universe is in motion, and this universe in motion is because of the vibration and the movement. And when you look at the enlightenment, I am just talking about the enlightenment. People have looked at it, and it is the highest energy with a cycle of more than 700. So if a person could develop into that 700 cycles, he is in the enlightened state. The greatest, what I would call it as, at that point of time, it is the greatest expansion of energy that he can feel it, and hence is extremely, what we can call it as happiness. But when you transcend yourself from the enlightenment into the joy, the happiness, the frequency is only about 540. And if you remember, this joy or happiness is also expanding in nature and the vibration with movement. And hence you are able to appreciate the joy very well. And that is 540. When a person gets angry, then his frequency is 150. When a person gets 150 frequency in the vibration sense, when he gets angry, then definitely it doesn't expand. But the anger produced in the human body has got a direct effect on the system, on the physiology of the body. A person who is very late, above 70 years, should not get angry at all because of these vibrations which are very low. Then the function of the arteries, the function of the most intricate, because the nature is endowed with 17 special senses in the body. People who are interested in this chapter should get into PSI 17. But we all think there are only 5 special senses, but there are 17 special senses which are operative in our body, which are making our sense very well. And all of them operate with the help of only vibration. Now, some people said, if you're going to give for the emotion the frequency, what about the body of the human being? Do we have a particular frequency? And the people came up with this idea that human body frequency is around 3 to 17. The vertical vibration of the human body, when the movement occurs, is 6 to 8. It is so slow. It's almost like that you don't feel it. Otherwise, everybody really have a vertical vibration 6 to 8 times a second. And you must remember that whenever a person gets a frequency from the, originally we have already fixed that happiness and enlightenment at 70. But anybody who has got a vibration of 440 below, that means he's going to get angry. And second, immediately there is a destructive element coming in our human system. It can cause disruption, it can cause disharmony, it can cause disunity. But if you get the disharmony of this vibration coming in 440, you are likely to develop the diseases, you are likely to develop, if not even the tendency for you to have a war in your mind, and then that can translate into a real war if it is going to come into a king or into our presidents of the country or the prime minister. Now, if you look into any standard textbooks, you can just go to the Google God, and then there are so many ways of getting the 12 ways to get the vibration increased. And then in terms of brain, when you come into vibration, what does it do? It is very clearly stated that when you do a whole body vibration techniques that have been available in the universe now, and this whole body vibration, what it does, it is able to increase the attention span. And second, it is also increases the inhibition so that your inhibitory input is not allowed, so that the pain conditions. For example, they have to reach the brain through the spinal cord. So if you have a vibration inhibition increase, then the inhibition can start in the spinal cord, or it can get stopped at the thalamus. And finally, if it goes to the brain, then you definitely perceive the pain. And hence, the vibration is very useful in that. If you don't get this vibration properly, this we call it as a HAVS. It's called hand-arm vibration syndrome. This you can see in people when they are highly tensed up in anger. They will say, my hand is shivering, my arm is shivering. But they will only say, you won't see the vibration. It will be very, very clear in you that the patient is not faking. He's not psychiatric. It is a truth that he has got the vibration which he is able to feel it. And this syndrome is very, very good. They also say DOMS. DOMS is a delayed onset of muscle, especially very, very severe pain. This can come in people when their bodily vibrations are reduced, or when you give the same, because in life, anything that is excess gives you a problem. Anything that is reduced, you also get a problem. There is a therapeutic window for all the vibration sense. And this vibrations, when it is used ideally, this is a very, very good use. What is a neurotransmitter for this? It is very, very clearly stated that the human beings are practically working on 3 neurotransmitters. All the other transmitters God has given or nature has given. One is called the dopamine, which is the Cinderella of the neurotransmitter, which plays a crucial role for motivation to movement. This dopamine in turn acts and inhibits the noradrenaline adrenaline system so that you don't get fired up easily. The third one is acetylcholine, which is very, very important for our memory system. So when you look at it, this dopamine and as well as serotonin, that is precursor for the adrenaline, noradrenaline, they are very, very useful hormone for us to be happy. This happiness should come spontaneously. And this happiness will come when you do according to what the Shruti of Vedas, what they say. You go into this mantras, when you split it into 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 2 and 1, then you can literally see the peace settling up in your brain. Awareness, since it's being in the level of the superior consciousness level, people ask for the very difficult. It is like a sweet. It's like an anger. It's like a happiness. It's like sadness. I can't just tell you how happy you are. I can't tell you how sad you are, even with the latest scientific equipment. But I can see it in your face. The face is the expression of your mind. And hence we always say the dopamine and serotonin are the 2 neurotransmitters which are very, very useful for us to get the happiness. Then what is the other extreme for vibrations to be produced? Then you find the steroids. If the steroids or the stress hormones, which always comes whenever a person is stressed, it's very clearly stated that when a person is stressed, you need the steroids. Stress, spontaneous stress, or stress from the mind or from the disorders. So the vibration, basic vibration should come from the steroid. So these are the main 3 neurotransmitters which are really holding and decoding the mystery of the brain. But some people say the decoding of the muscle, it also results in the brain shakes. This is a very common expression we see in patients when there's some in brain aadudunga, thalaye aadudunga, ulla suttu suttu suttu. These are all certain expressions which we listen, and we group them under the dizziness, the doctor's dilemma. This dizziness is nothing but a vibration inside the 18 output. This vibration produces. One must understand very clearly that the 8th nerve, the vestibular nuclei, is one of the oldest nuclei in the human brain, which connects to the entire human body of the system. It connects to all the lobes. The vestibular nucleus connecting itself into the frontal thinking brain, parietal sensory brain, temporal listening and as well as speaking brain, and occipital the seeing brain. So that when you stimulate these areas, vibrations is very useful. We always use in vibration therapy, or we can use even the especially distilled water therapy in the ear. If you do it, people who have schizophrenia with very classical delusion, they get their delusions reduced. We have proved that whenever a person gets a very severe chronic pain syndrome, when you do this vestibular stimulation by vibration technique, you find that the pain goes. above all, now the present day thinking, you know, everybody passes through the Parkinson disease. In the Parkinson disease, if you use a whole body vibration, we have now realized even in Parkinson disease, which is characterized by tremor, which is a high frequency rate, and then the rigidity, akinesia, and then the postural responses, of which when you use a vibratory sense in them, they get an excellent benefit. Now people are concentrating on how to stimulate your brain by whole body and then the brain. They are stimulating it. After all, the stimulation is also a part of vibration inside the nucleus. The whole neurons are in constant state of vibration. And it's always believed that the neuron inside the brain, when they get activated, you can just, it's almost like what we can see. No longer in our days, we used to say this particular area connects this area. Now we know we are all talking about circuit theory. Just like electrical circuits, we are all talking about the circuit theory of the brain. We no longer talk about a area is causing this. Now, why I'm giving this particular portion first in the vibration and the brain? Because these are all the facts, and the vibration being a sense which is more often felt than seen, then this same vibration is present in each and every. When you get into the nucleus, the vibration is absent in proton. You can call that as a sat. Whereas when it comes into electron, it is moving. It has got a vibration. So that you can call it as a chit. This sat and chit are absolutely essential for the normal function of the cell. When you don't get this movement, when you don't get this movement from the electron, it cannot take place in the oxidation reduction reaction, and hence you cannot get transmitted. And the same thing when you say, still the wonder of wonder is what is really troubling the neurologist is this: whenever a vibration gets into that, the brain, you know, it gets into a neurosignals. And this neurosignals becomes a neurotransmitter action. This connection, how is it being done? And the second one is, when you form the structure itself in the basic anatomy, when you want to form an enzyme, the nucleus, which is in the center portion, that actually produces the mechanism called DNA. And this DNA by vibration constantly produces, and it becomes an RNA. And this comes out with a message, which we still do not know whether it is a chemical message, whether it is an electrical message, or whether it's electrochemical message, because fundamentally the energy and the what we can call it vibration. Vibration produces the energy, or energy produces the vibration. This cause and effect, you cannot apply it to a main vibration, because when you dissect all the living and non-living things to the entire point of vibratory nature, very, very difficult, because you cannot say why the earth came into existence in vibration. I can give you its frequency pattern, but I cannot say why it vibrates. When you ask a repeated why in science, science comes to a standstill. These vibrations, the nature is already given for us, and how to utilize it. That is where the Vedas came into existence. I strongly believe that if you are able to produce a sound, which we are now analyzing it with a CT PET science. CT PET has given us a room for us to find out when you say the word ah, where all the brains are stimulated. When you say E, there is one area. When you say I, there is an area. The same thing with regard to Sanskrit. When you just pronounce it in the way in which if it is pronounced, it is quite, it's brilliance. What I say is, if you write anything, it is leading to distortion, or if it is destroyed, it is not going to be continued. Our Vedas have lived thousands of years because it has come through oral. And second, the oral one, the vibration, vibratory tone, once it gets into your mind, it never gets altered by the brain. Because brain is only an instrument where we always say that it obeys what the mind says. The mind obeys because mind is a web of thought in which the first strand of thought is I exist. This I feature, the I consciousness, which is the vibrating one, every one of us in the body. This gets connected to the total awareness. You can call that awareness a part of universal consciousness or universal field. There are people, this energy is available outside. When you are able to get the energy, that's what he was telling about the Veda, the whole Vedic Shrutis, and everything has come by just constant listening. So we as a neurologist, we don't want to give the grapheme to the child. We want to give the phoneme to the child. If you are able to give the sound first to the child, then the child starts writing very well. The brain listens more. And there are, of course, people that are divided into two vibrations wise. One is a listener, one is a reader. Let's forget about that aspect of the function. But the basic main function of the brain, which has got its own innate ability to vibrate. It not only vibrates, it's also a stimulant. When the heart beats, it is very, very, very beautiful to see. With each and every beat, the vibrations are transmitted to the brain, and the brain vessel starts pulsating. When the brain vessel starts pulsating, when it produces a vibration, it produces a painful input. The nature has given one nucleus called trigeminal nucleus, which dampens this, especially the painful vibrations. It doesn't reach the brain, and hence you don't feel the brain. Whereas a migrainous fellow who is going to get this, within is allowing the pain fibers to reach the brain. So for him, migraine, this is a headache business where the vibratory treatment, total body vibration has been taken beautifully for treatment of migraine, and hence vibration plays a crucial role. Same thing with regard to any pain mechanism operating in the body. It has to get cleared first in the spinal cord. It has to get cleared in the periaqueductal gray inside the brain, and then finally felt by the brain. So the mechanism is such, these vibrations are stopped at the periphery itself by means of 5 sensations that we are producing in our human body. One is called pressure, vibration, position, movement, and as well as touch. All these 5 factors increases the input and stops the painful fibers leaving the spinal cord. And then at the level of the midbrain, if the doctor is very good, and if the patient has absolute faith in the doctor, and when the doctor gives the tablet in his hand, if he takes it, at once the vibrations are made inside the periaqueductal gray, and then the hormone is released. Thereby you get a pain relief at once. And third is, of course, you have got your own willpower by which you can vibrate the sentences, the circuits. You can bring the vibration down and stop the pain. So these sort of vibrations, this entire Vedas, I all believe the whole world is made of vibration. And this vibration is nothing but the consciousness. And this energy is literally stored in and out the nucleus, just like it is present in each and every human body. And every human body, now I think we should be able to scientifically document this 7 to 70, what they call it as the human body frequency of 3 to 17 and the vertical movement of about 6 to 8. These are all certain facts about the vibration. But I think I have how many minutes? Because I just wanted to highlight certain areas in the human brain when it gets vibrated, or CT PET. We have now got totally different areas in the brain that have come up into all the areas, and it is always felt that the pain mechanisms and yoga mechanisms, and then this mantra. Mantra means, as he rightly pointed out, man means thinking, and then the listening, and then the words mantra came. Mantra, tantra, every procedure, the human is only dependent on the vibrations. And hence, ladies and gentlemen, I have given the 20-25 minutes talk. My whole aim is, if you start having your vibratory note through the meditation, I would like to conclude by saying this, because this is the fact of the problem. This is the fact of the cure for most of the conditions, and then explain our the mechanism of the brain functions. The one of the functions is the brain is the EEG, the electroencephalogram, and the man's alpha wave is 9 to 13 per cycles. This is exactly what the sun cycles frequency. The sun rays has actually got a 9 to 13, and our human beings have got the alpha waves only 9 to 13. And once this alpha waves, once you get into meditation and the vibration of the sound that you do, either by the word or by the mantras or by the slokas, ultimately it has an effect on the alpha system. And the alpha starts becoming the theta, the range comes down, and the theta becomes delta. In normal people, once you reach theta, you start feeling drowsy. When it gets into delta, that is 1 to 4 cycles per second, you start sleeping. Whereas when you have perfected the art of mechanism of this vibratory techniques, by which you will be conscious even in your theta state and delta state, and get into a state called epsilon. This, in epsilon state, the brain waves are 1.5 to 2.5 cycles per second. At this particular point of frequency, one can control the autonomic nervous system. He can raise the body temperature, he can lower the body temperature. He can increase the temperature, he can lower the temperature. And he has an absolute control on the autonomic system. Otherwise, autonomic nervous system is underly totally as autonomic. Both sympathetic and parasympathetic system comes under control. When you still believe in vibrated techniques, then or meditate, that is, I mean the vibration is fully by slokas or by mantras or by words or by sheerly stating Om. That's also a vibration. Ultimately, acts on this system of EEG, which we can prove. Once you get into this, it's called Samadhi state, where people have gone into this. And some people, when you get into the state, how to identify? At the epsilon state, you put him in, this has been demonstrated by Tibetan lamas. When you put an iced blanket on their chart, absolutely no clothes, they are able to dry the iced blanket. The time taken is called the 2 more effect. The 2 more seconds. That is, these are all why I am saying is we are now expanding our explosion. Why? Why we are able to explain? Because the man is in possession of an organ called brain, which is far advanced for the 4 generations later. What is the possibility? With 1 million fibers of the one particular track, we are controlling the entire movement of our thought, actions, and everybody. Whereas God has given, or nature has given 10 million fibers connecting the thinking brain to the smaller brain called cerebellum. The future is in process by which the human brain is going to much more advanced than the present state of mind. But I would like to just close by one thing, by just reciting what Sai Ram used to say, 10 to 100 years of human life. And the 10th year of life, the ego starts in any individual. The I really blossoms into fully, and then he is achieving something. Then 20, it is the duty of the parents and the teachers and the institution to give him shraddha and bhakti to him. At the age of 30, then he must be taught as a purity in thought, word, and deed. At the 40th year, at the 4th year, he must kama, hartha, bhamoksha, fourth, that is how to earn, how to spend everybody. At the age of 50 years, one should control all the 5 special senses, which gives the real vibration. At the 60th year, then I always call it, the 6 enemies of the human mind must be removed. Kama, krodha, lobha, mada, macharya, etc. At the 70th year of age, you become exactly like what I call it as Saptarishi. They have got the power to come to the earth and then go back to the heaven. But same way, you can live in this world with a heavenly approach by leaving this. And the 8 indicates you have the 8 directions of the human universe. And in the 8 directions, there are 8 gods praying to the universe of universal consciousness. You can do that. At the 90th year, you become Navagraha coming around the sun. Likewise, at the 90th year, you come around the Lord God. I think, and the 100th year, when 1002 becomes 2 zeros, then you become exactly joined with the universal consciousness. So the duality totally disappears, irrespective of what you are. And that particular point, you only have the human vibrations and the sense in the life. And that vibration will be there, whether you are there or not, because it is created by nature. I think by organizing this particular thing, I'm very, very grateful to Prime Point Srinivasan and his team. I think, but for them, my expression will not come there. But I'm really thankful because I'm literally inside, my vibration is there. I was a little bit doubtful how to speak before Dr. Ramamurthy. That's the reason why I came to brain, because brain is the lowest most organ. And in the Vedas, they give least resistance to the Vedas. And they always talk about the mind, because the mind is more powerful than the brain. And the mind of all the Prime Point people are excellent. And he is just modest by saying that he is at the lowest. No, he is at the highest, the driving force. And above all, he has got the name of Srinivasan. But Ramamurthy today has got all the both. He has got both. His Kirti and as well as Rama. I think it was pleasure listening to you, sir. And once again, lovely time spent. I think the 30 plus, I come to 30 plus because there should be purity in thought, purity in word, purity in action. Thank you. Namaskar. Sai Ram.
Really a grateful, Dr. AVS. Wonderful oration. But in the meanwhile, I have one question. I am also having a personal question to Dr. AVS. That we were talking about the vibrations, Gana vibrations and other things. To what extent, and Dr. Ramamurthy showed the universal sound, and sound also.
Yeah.
When we chant Om, how it has got a vibration in our mind, whether it gets synergized with the universal vibration, is it having some value? And added to that, I can also add one question has come on the chat box. One Dr. Sandhya has asked whether is the vibratory state same when the listening as well as the chanting, both are same, and you can combine and you can give a scientific reasoning for that.
First, let me say, we have not done the both states. We have just identified that there is a vibrating for a human body. That particular frequency, I've already told you. Whether there is a vertical vibration, whether there is a total, but 6 to 8. But if we have to do this, but one thing is very certain. We have now seen that whenever you do this, the frequency is definitely coming down. We have no other ways of proving it, because I told you the awareness is beyond science at the present point of time. You cannot prove the awareness of the vibratory technique. We may have to have some other mode by which we can get into it. But the effect of that awareness you can definitely feel. For example, when you start saying mantras, you are definitely improving. That I gave a talk only on yoga and meditation. There is a neurophysiology of yoga. I spoke for 1 hour. Each and every condition we are able to see. A person who sincerely does the especially Om recitation, there is a definite element of this frequency going up. We have proved it. Now only we have started looking at it with 440 frequency. That is also a 440 frequency. If you look into the Google God, there you can see the 440 is a very important frequency for the human brain. So I'm taking so many sentences to you because definitely we have to do the test to say what we've seen is there. And effect only we are seeing in all these Vedas and mantras. We cannot do it because awareness is still not understood by the human body or the human brain. It takes place in less than 50 milliseconds. At the present point of time, what we have is neurophysiological equipment is only 1000 milliseconds old. I mean, 1000 milliseconds. You can just imagine how it can come down to 50. And at the level of the 17 special senses, once again, it's beyond our, I mean, it's something like saying that 200 years ago, nobody would have thought about this. 200 years later, somebody may find it out. But at the present point of time, with the present knowledge, you cannot study awareness. When you cannot study awareness, you cannot study the vibrations also. But you can see the cause and effect. Vibration and energy are the two acting on the matter and energy. Man who worked on 30 years for matter finally has given up his study and then said, I am not able to understand how the matter becomes energy and energy becomes a matter. Now, one thing is certain, when we are talking on the Vedas and mantras, these mantras are the distilled wisdom of our great ancient rishis. We are not following that. We are going to ask for the cause and effect because our human mind is cause and effect oriented. When you look into the cause and effect oriented, when it comes into the chat, the Chachidananda chat, sat, that is impossible for anybody to get into the train of giving cause and effect. You only see the effect, but you cannot see the cause. That is my reading. I always say Sat is like, in terms of simple comparison, Sat is like a static energy. When the static energy converted into a movement, that is Sit, then you start getting the happiness of Anandam. So when they recite the Vedas, when you recite Om, you will get into the Ananda state well, but you can't get into the Tat state of vibration because existence of this universe is in vibration. And that vibration, you can only feel it, but you cannot do it. But once you reach that Sat state, then you become silent. You won't be talking like me because you have already appreciated what is truth. So, Bhavanesh, sorry for giving such a long explanation. To put it in one word, cause and effect, please don't expect it at the vibration level.
Can I say something, one-liner for that?
Yeah, sure, sir. Yes, sir.
As for me, the state of mind or state of effect of vibration as a chanter or as a hearer, even as a chanter, if two people chant at the same time, the vibration felt by them may differ. Because depending on their concentration, depending on their other worries affecting their mind, depending on their age, depending on their maturity. So when two chanters similar chanting, the state of effect on the vibration may differ, then we cannot definitely say the chanting and hearer, chanter and hearer, definitely it will be different. Coming to that mantra Om, Om is called monosyllable mantra. It is when it is chanted continuously, definitely its effect is much higher than all the Gayatri mantra, the other mantras also. When Guru gives sannyasam to a shishya, Om Pranava mantra and its meaning is the one which is given as initiation, mantrobadesam. Okay, that is the importance. Further, we can continue to talk about for hours. Okay, for the time being, this is the main. Then my take in this. Thank you, sir. Thank you, PPS, for the opportunity. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. AVS was telling something in between.
Sorry?
No. Dr. AVS was telling something in between.
No, I'm sorry. What I wanted to say was I concur with him, Professor Ramamurthy, that Om is the primordial vibration from which the whole world has evolved. This Om was, so when you look at it, in the beginning, the word was there, and the word was with the God, and the word was God. So Om was the vibration. Vibration was the name with the God, and the God was nothing but the Om. So this is what they copied from the other thing they said in the other part by people. In the beginning, there was a word, and the word was with the God, and the word was God. They replaced that word for the Om is the real word. And there are people who are saying that if you realize what he said already, the person who realizes becomes Dakshinamurti, he keeps quiet. The person like me who have not understood what is the world, why the vibration started, how the vibration started, how it came into the universe, how it can, I think the word Sachidanandam and then the I destruction and finally Shiva's Kripa, all the 5 components are the Brahman. I think I would say that I think the alphabets, they cannot describe it. But we are trying to do this. We are now doing the work. The results I'm not supposed to say. But when you do your yaga, when you do mantras, we are studying the effect on the brain. We cannot say that is producing this sound. Each and every sound, which area in the brain is being activated, we are studying. Hopefully, unfortunately, this 1 year of this, we are not able to continue this. By sheer mantras, what are the changes that are taking place in this? I think the book, people who are interested in reading the book, I think the best book I would say is Majesty King Nadar Ram. I think I would just show.
Please show this, sir. Please show this on screen, sir. Please show this on screen.
I think I'm not getting it.
No, it is not seen. It is not seen.
Yeah, this actually book is Her Majesty King Nadar Ram, Expressions of Veda and the Vedic Literature. He has touched the human physiology. He has given the explanations, and he has written the book. He is a PhD, and he's come from the teacher, the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He was the only person in the whole world to be given weight in gold in US for his work on the physiology of the human body compared with the Vedic literature and given every aspect of this Vedic functions. This itself is an excellent book, and he has written it. I mean, it is a yeoman book. It runs to about 600 pages, and this book gives you a comprehensive idea about our old ancient Sanskrit literature, has literally given life, and I think we should propagate this physiology in our teaching system, where it should be included as one of the portions where how the Vedas have touched the physiology. We are not crossing the physiology. We are not saying opposite to the physiology, but we are saying that we have said it already 2000 years ago. That's a point.
Sir, we are closing now. One last question within 1 minute. I want your answer, Dr. AVS. Whether any other foreign universities are doing or have done any research on this vibrations of Vedas and how it has an impact on the
that's
brain?
a lot of work. There's a lot of work from Washington School. It has come from the other areas. They are doing the vibrations because they've got the instrument to measure it. Unfortunately, in India, we have not yet caught up. The basic sciences research in India is lacking. But we are excellent in our clinical observation. So I always say, to put it in simple word, our sense operates on the, what they call it, observation, recording, common sense. We have got a lovely common sense resulting in a clinical sense and the therapeutic sense. But we have to have a research sense in basic sciences. Just like the health, we have to have a basic sciences which has been done. And we have a very rich knowledge and then the experiment. I always say science ends and philosophy starts. No, science blends with philosophy beautifully. I think our country is only going to be a beacon of light in another 15 years, touching the ancient wisdom and giving the practical side of ancient wisdom into our human people. Thank you.
Fantastic, sir. Science blends with Indian philosophy. Science blends with Indian philosophy. That is the key message that you have given towards the end. Thank you, Dr. Ramamurthy. Thank you, Dr. AVS. And thanks to all the people, though we have only a selected invited people for this show. And we have already recorded, putting it up in the YouTube tomorrow or day after editing. And we are also covering it as a cover story in our July issue. Thank you very much. Thank you very much all. God bless you all and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.